The elevator didn't ding when it arrived. That was the first sign. A small thing, easy to miss, but it felt wrong, like the silence before a storm. Nathan, my youngest, clung to my jacket sleeve with a grip that didn't belong to a 10-year-old. His fingers dug in too tight, his knuckles pale, his face matched, color drained, eyes darting across the polished marble lobby like he was tracking shadows I couldn't see. "Dad, wait," he whispered, voice tight and urgent. "You can't use the front door." I stopped, confused, staring at him for just a beat too long. That's when his voice dropped lower, not with fear, but urgency, conviction. "It's a trap. Everything's set up to trap you." The words dropped into me like a weight in water. No echo, just the heaviness of truth. I didn't question him. I didn't need to. My instincts, long dormant, flared back to life. I nodded once, and we moved. We passed the concierge, who kept his eyes locked to his desk like it hurt to look at me. We moved past a gift table, two perfectly arranged, a glittering snare of silk and ribbon, and down a corridor that reeked faintly of chlorine and something else. Something older. Something like rot-behind perfume. Nathan led me to the service elevator. It groaned, the bulb overhead flickering once before dimming to a sickly glow. We stepped in. The door creaked closed, and just before it sealed shut, I heard it. Laughter. A woman's laugh. Sharp, overbright, too loud to be anything but rehearsed. Samantha. My ex-wife's voice floated from the main hall like a spotlight, like a bell announcing that the performance had officially begun. I didn't want to believe what I'd been suspecting. Not then. Not fully. But the first crack in my certainty had come months ago, soft and fragrant. A change in perfume. Something heavier than Samantha ever wore, warmer. It clung to our daughter's coat the day I picked her up from school. It wasn't hers. It didn't belong. Then came the missed calls. Her voice always distant when she did answer, always distracted. And Nathan, he changed. Quiet, twitchy, always casting sideways glances at his sister, like he was holding a secret behind his clenched jaw. The party itself had felt rushed. A graduation celebration in a rented penthouse? The venue too lavish, the guest list filled with unfamiliar names, and Samantha's new husband Daniel, smiling like he'd won a prize. My name hadn't even made it onto the invitations. Still, I played my role. I paid for the band. I bought the dress. I smiled through my teeth, because that's what you do when you realize you're caught in a web. You move carefully, slowly. You wait for the spider to show its face. I started with the photo albums. Old ones, from before the divorce, before Daniel. I found a snapshot tucked inside a cookbook Samantha used to keep in the kitchen. Her and Daniel on a beach, arms around each other, 2 years before she claimed they met. Then there was Nathan's school drawing, 3 adults in the house, not 2, and the phone records, once I finally pulled them, burners, repeated numbers. One in particular kept showing up. I traced it, a private investigator, one she'd hired, almost a year before the divorce. She was building a case the whole time she pretended to fix our marriage, sleeping in my bed, letting me hold her, letting me cook for her. It had never been about love. She came back for evidence. To win. So I dug deeper. A paternity test. My blood. Nathan's toothbrush. The result arrived clinical, sterile, final. It screamed the truth in silence. Nathan was mine, but my daughter wasn't. That envelope sat heavy in my jacket pocket as I slipped through the back corridor into the party. Nathan stayed behind near the catering trays, shoulders tight, eyes on the floor. I moved through the crowd like a ghost. No one noticed. The music blared. The air shimmered with heat and false joy. And then I saw her. Samantha, our daughter tucked into one arm, a champagne glass raised in the other, clinking against Daniel's as they toasted each other like a couple on a magazine cover. Her glass sparkled like a blade. I waited until her eyes found mine across the room. She froze. I walked forward, silent. No words, just movement. I handed her the envelope, the truth wrapped in thin paper. Her smile cracked, just a hairline fracture at first, then a collapse. She opened it, reluctantly, like it burned her fingers. She read, Once. Twice. Her hands began to tremble. Daniel leaned in, confused, asking something low. She took a step back, unsteady. Still, I said nothing. Just looked at her, through her, and then I turned, walked away. I didn't stop until I reached the balcony. I lit a cigarette, one I didn't need, and watched the city flicker below like distant lightning. She followed. Her heels struck the floor too fast, too hard. She stopped behind me, breathless. Her voice was sharp, desperate. "Why?" she asked. "Why would you do this tonight?" I didn't look at her. I took a long drag, let the smoke curl into the darkness. "You invited me here to humiliate me." Silence. "You had your lawyer ready, didn't you?" I said, "To serve papers, to claim I violated custody terms, to get me arrested, to erase me." Her voice cracked. I had to. "You." "I know," I said, cutting her off. Then finally, I turned to face her. "I've known for 2 months. I've watched you move your pieces. Smile for the camera. Tell lies you thought you buried deep." She opened her mouth, but I raised my hand. "The thing about setting traps," I said, "is that sometimes you fall into your own." I handed her a second envelope, thicker. Inside, photos, messages, timelines. A full report from the investigator I hired, better than hers. Inside was a signed statement from Daniel's ex-wife, her real name, her sealed criminal charges, everything. "I sent copies," I said softly, "to your father, your workplace, the school board." She stepped back like I'd struck her. Her mouth hung open. Words lost the storm she never saw coming. "You don't get to erase me," I whispered. "Not this time." I didn't stay for cake. Didn't hug my daughter goodbye. Not tonight. Let her enjoy the party. Let her forget, if just for a moment, the kind of woman her mother truly is. Nathan was waiting in the parking garage, perched on the hood of my car like a ghost in borrowed dress shoes. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. We drove in silence. Past midnight, I pulled up to his mother's house. He opened the door, hesitated, turned to me. "She didn't know I warned you," he said. I nodded. He stared at me for a long moment, uncertainty written across his face. "Does that mean," he asked slowly, "I'm still yours?" I looked at him, really looked, until the silence between us broke into something solid, something certain. "You," I said, "were the only thing that ever was." Then he stepped out, and I drove away, into the dark, and out the other side.